Hey guys, had a question from Bryan out in sunny California. Bryan said, Dan, what do we do with spouses that are unsupportive of their spouses training with us? The other comment was, yeah, you guys are all about the money. My wife doesn't need this. My husband doesn't need this, whatever the case. Number one thing I would recommend is to maybe relay a story about somebody else that felt the same way. Somebody that had that same concern, but opened up their mind to the idea of training with one of us, and they succeeded. Most athletes, never mind Mrs. Jones, most athletes do better when they have a trainer, when they have somebody there. There's some psychological things going on, motivations. I know that if I'm training by myself versus training with some of the coaches I've worked with in powerlifting, I know that I give it more when I have the watchful eye of the coach on me. It's just the way it is. It's just psychology 101, I guess. Something about just having that person there, you push a little harder. So my number one advice, Bryan, would be tell a story of somebody that maybe felt the same way and how they opened their mind to the idea of working with one of us, and their results made that decision, confirmed that that decision was the right one. Stories, guys, good true stories about clients. I've turned around some tough clients. I've had people, swearing up and down that their workouts were great and they didn't need us, and, every obstacle in the world to just not do training. And instead of arguing with them, I would just sometimes would say, well, why don't you try us? Or why don't you try me? What's the worst that's going to happen? Let's say you pick up a block of sessions. Pick up 8 or 10 sessions. Pick up 15 or 20 sessions and work with me for a couple months. We'll work with one of my trainers for a couple months. The worst is you're going to probably progress at twice the rate. You're going to learn stuff that you have for a lifetime. So you're going to progress, be educated, be in good hands. It's probably safer. It's more motivating. Like we just talked about, you have a coach next to you. You tend to train harder. All these good things. So, Bryan, that might be my advice to you. Tell a good story. Say, why don't you try us? Why don't you try us? The comment that we're all about money. Well, I suppose I don't know many people that got into the personal training world to become wealthy. There's some of us that have done really well in the personal training world financially, and certainly salespeople make excellent money. Good salespeople make great money in the fitness business. That's probably not why you originally got a certification or got interested in personal training. Was not probably for the dollars. You probably figured out later, hey, if I get good at sales, the dollars will be there. So with that criticism, honestly, Bryan, I would probably ignore it. Somebody tells me, hey, you're in this for the money. Say, no, I'm in this really because there's a need, and I want to fill that need. The need is a lot of people join gyms. They don't know what they're doing, and we provide a service that's very valuable. Okay, what we do in my book is extremely valuable. When people aren't training properly, or they're just guessing their way through workouts, it's not very productive. We save them time. Ultimately, we save them money. We get them healthier. We get them stronger. We educate them, right? Somebody works with us for a year, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. They may be confident. They've learned enough to go maintain on their own. That's fine. We have clients that have trained with us for 3 or 4 years. We have clients that just never leave us. They want to be with a trainer no matter what. There's those people. So this comment and this idea that it's all about money, my advice, Bryan, I just wouldn't argue it. As a matter of fact, guys, my advice almost on anything that ever comes up in this business. I just don't argue with people. I never argue with clients. That old expression, somebody that's convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. That old saying, that you can kind of win arguments. It's easy to win arguments, right? We could probably win every single argument that our clients put forward, but, we're not here to win arguments and debate people. Whenever I get any obstacle, if somebody puts up an obstacle to training with us, whether it's money or it's husband or it's spouse of a spouse or it's whatever they throw at us, I always try to take it down the same avenue, and that is to acknowledge their concern and try to just paint a picture of how it could be if they did give us a chance, right? I think what goes through my head sometimes is the visions of years and years of being in gyms and seeing the stuff that people do. I'm not saying this to be unkind or to be a jerk, but some of the stuff people do, they join the gym, they make the mental commitment, they finally pull into the parking lot, they go through the sales process, they get a membership, so they've done all this, right? And now they're just going to guess their way through the gym. They're going to do silly routines. They're going to do things that don't make sense. They're probably not going to do progressive overload. They're going to pick exercises that are suboptimal. And, I don't want to say that, listen, it's better than the couch, right? I mean, at least it's physical activity, right? I mean, there's sedentary, then there's physical activity, then there's exercise, and then there's training, right? So sedentary is bad. Physical activity is better. Exercise is better still, but training is the best outcome. That somebody actually trains on a structured, comprehensive, well thought out, planned training program where the results are predictable, where I can tell you within a few pounds of how strong you're going to be in 3 months. I can tell you within a few percentage points of where your body fat will improve to in the next few months, right? That's the difference between just exercise and training. Exercise is better than just physical activity. Physical activity is better than nothing. But these people are paying us for training, right? A well thought out training program that is improving the client predictably through the weeks and through the months. Okay. I think that's a good reminder to give people. Somebody says, well, we don't, my wife doesn't need you guys. She can figure it out. Certainly, maybe she could figure it out. People aren't stupid. People can figure this stuff out. But I know from being a trainer for many years, my clients don't want to figure it out. They are, they're about as interested in figuring out how this all works as I am interested in learning needlepoint. There's just no interest. They don't care. This isn't what they want to do. They want to look hot. They want to be healthier. They want their clothes to fit better. They don't want to figure out loading parameters. They don't want to figure out set and rep schemes. They don't want to figure out time between sets. They want me to do that. They're like, Dan, you're the trainer. You're the coach. You do it. I'll do the work, but I don't want to think about it. All I want to think about is looking better in my bikini in 6 months, right? I agree. So, Bryan, one other thing that you might put in there is, look, we take away the guesswork. When you're working with somebody, when you're working with a professional trainer, you know that you're doing it right. You don't have that little doubt in the back of your mind that says, is what I'm doing working? All right? And remember, guys, in the beginning, if you haven't exercised in a few years or a couple of years or, more than 6 or 8 months, no matter what you do, jumping back into the gym is going to improve you. All right? It's called the novice effect. So if you take an unexercised person, a sedentary person, almost no matter what you throw at them, they'll have an improvement. Okay? Riding a bicycle probably improves their body composition and probably makes their legs somewhat stronger, right? I mean, it takes such a small stimulus, right? Because they're unadapted, right? Getting strong and getting in shape is just a series of adaptations, right? Well, these people are unadapted to anything. So if you take this tiny little stimulus and throw it at them, the needle jumps off the page. That's a big stimulus to them, even though it's a small stimulus to the person that's already training, right? So the point is, a lot of the new gym members, they see progress and they fool themselves into thinking what they're doing is the right thing. It's probably not. Like I said, almost no matter what they do is going to show some progress, but that progress will drop off quickly, 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll stop progressing. That's where hopefully we step in and say, let us adjust some of these variables. Load, okay, we got to increase the load. Exercise selection, rest between sets, nutrition, rest between workouts, how much recovery time, how many days a week. We handle all that. Okay, so tip of the day to help with this, Bryan, is number one, tell a good relevant story about somebody that maybe had the same concern but decided to try us and had a really good result. Okay. Second thing is to remind them that we take away the guesswork. So somebody says, well, why should my wife get a trainer? So, well, we take away the guesswork. She doesn't have to worry about sets and reps, doesn't have to worry about exercise selection, doesn't have to worry about the density of the workout, doesn't have to worry about all these variables. We do that. We take care of that. Okay. There's the psychological effect of having a coach. I've talked about this. If you have a coach next to you, you tend to work a lot harder than when you're on your own. That's just psychology 101, right? I've trained by myself for a long time, and I've had coaches for a long time. Every time I've ever trained with a powerlifting coach next to me, you just kind of find that extra gear, so to speak, right? You want to perform for your audience, so to speak. I don't know what the exact psychology is behind it. We could look into it, but somebody's watching you lift, somebody's coaching you. You tend to pour it on. You tend to you dig in and give that little extra. And giving in that little extra and getting that rep that you might have missed by yourself, that's how you get gains, right? That's how you progress and get where you want to be. So, guys, there's so many arguments that we can bring up without arguing. I think that's kind of the take-home point of this little video here, is that you are bringing up these things, but not in an argumentative way. If it's me, Bryan, somebody says these things, I'm going to say, well, why don't you just try us? Why don't you try us for a couple of months? Why don't you try us for, 2 or 3 visits a week for a month or two? See what happens. Worst is you're going to learn a lot, progress, probably lose some body fat, get strong. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. These good things are going to happen. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Keep those things in mind. Keep those questions coming. I'm really proud of you guys. Nice progress you guys are making out there. Really proud of this group. You guys know who you are. Thanks for the questions. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.